Welcome back. Anyone who loves food will love our next guest. He's the author of the book that acknowledges the vast debt we owe African-American cooks and chefs when it comes to food, and especially food served at White House events, large and small over the years. We want to welcome Adrian Miller, author of The President's Kitchen Cabinet, the story of African-Americans who have fed our first families. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on your show.
What an interesting book. What kind of inspired you to find out about the inner workings of the White House kitchen and chefs?
So the short answer is unemployment, because I was working in the Clinton White House and George W. Bush did not hire me, believe it or not.
Really?
Shocking. So I started to, I was watching too much daytime television, and I said, I need to read something. So I went and got this book on the history of Southern food. And as I started researching the history of Southern food and soul food, I discovered all of these African Americans who have cooked for our presidents.
And so we talked just here in the intro to you about the debt that we owe to African Americans when it comes to our palate. And what do you mean by that?
Because African Americans pretty much in the 1700s, 1800s, well into the 20th century dominated cooking in America, not only in private homes, but also in restaurants. Very similar to the number of Latino cooks now that we have in a lot of professional kitchens.
Right.
So a lot of the influence, the food was prepared by African Americans in different contexts. And in many cases, they were allowed to kind of influence the food that was served.
Yeah, well, and also influence maybe other things as well, because you said that sometimes they were able to kind of speak their mind a little bit.
Yeah, so in the case of White House cooks, often the presidents would lean to them for just a window on Black life and to get advice on how they were doing. And one example is Lyndon Johnson, who would talk to his cook, Zephyr Wright, and just ask, what do people think about what I'm doing with civil rights and that sort of thing. So they were often a sounding board.
Wow.
Yeah.
They could be an advocate for that for sure. Yeah. Okay, so what fascinated you most in doing your research for this book?
So it's going to sound obvious, but just the sheer number of African Americans who have been in the White House kitchen. So from day one, with President Washington all the way to President Trump, we've had African Americans cooking in some capacity for the president, whether it was in the presidential kitchen, in the White House, on the presidential train, Air Force One, or when they would go travel someplace and stay for a while. African Americans usually were preparing the food. Okay, so in doing the research, we were just talking about this. Did you have direct access? Were you able to get into the White House kitchen and kind of do some digging, or is this basically just talking with historians and so, yeah, a lot of research went into this. So one was going to presidential libraries, reaching out to past chefs in the White House. I did try to get access to the White House kitchen. I was fortunate to go visit it and hang out there for a little bit.
That's neat.
But in terms of the cooks, I never got access. I did send in a request to the Obama White House, and not only did I get rejected, but 20 minutes later I got another rejection just in case I got it twisted the first time.
The first time, I love that. And how about recipes? I know that you sent over a couple of recipes for us to take a look at. And
yeah.
So were you able to speak with some of the chefs from the White House?
Not directly. So in some cases, I just had to go to printed sources, newspapers, magazine articles, and just see what they wrote and get the recipes that way. But a lot of the former chefs did give me some recipes. And Walter Scheib, who was the executive chef for President Clinton and George W. Bush, actually worked with me a lot on the book before he tragically died a couple of years before the book came out. So, yeah.
And this is your second book?
It's my second book. The first book I wrote was on the history of soul food.
And what did you find in that book?
Oh, I found a lot of yumminess. Because I care about my research so much, I decided I needed to eat my way through the country. So I went to 150 soul food restaurants in 35 cities, 15 states.
And that's what led you to become a certified BBQ judge, which I didn't even know there was such a thing. But, but you were able to do that as well.
Right, because a lot of soul food restaurants have barbecue options and vice versa. So I thought I needed to learn more about barbecue. So I became a judge. I had my official badge, and I took a barbecue oath. And I have to tell you, it's the best conversation starter I've ever had, even more than being in the White House.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So in addition to being advocates for civil rights, what else did you learn about the chefs working at the White House?
So they were culinary artists, celebrated in their time. There's a lot of people that write in their memoirs about the food they would have by these African-American cooks when they would visit and dine with the president. And in many cases, they were family confidants. I mean, you see a lot of moving actions by presidents when one of these cooks dies, or they have a birth in the family, or some kind of major event. You see a lot of just kind of heartfelt friendship with these cooks.
Okay. Any other surprising facts in the book that we might learn?
Well, I can't tell you all of them because I want you to buy the book.
Right.
Yeah. But I think the other thing is just how much these African-American cooks were able to make our first families feel at home. Because the White House is a pressure situation. So they were not only nourishing them, but they were giving them comfort.
Yeah. Well, I am excited to dig into your book a little bit more. The President's Kitchen Cabinet. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.